Hey guys, so welcome back to Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward. Sorry for the delay in getting this episode out. I've been hit with an illness and a sore throat, so, my sickness has impeccable timing just like I do with my episode endings. I figured we're near the end. I'm just going to push through and get this episode out to you guys because I really want to know what happens, especially after all those twists that happened. So many twists. I'm pretty much been through the ringer, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen. Even if this is a non-canon sort of branch, we unlocked this because we got all the gold files. So luckily I went ahead and did that. But anyway, let's see what Fi has to tell us, huh? Us, as in we are Kyle Climb, the clone.
Figured you'd come here eventually.
Of course you did.
Where's Dr. Climb? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now.
I can imagine he's very tired, transferring his consciousness and whatnot.
There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway.
Wait, there is?
He's in there if you're curious.
Huh. Okay.
Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up.
Oh, well, yeah.
Want me to start it?
Sure. Go ahead.
Sure.
Hologram.
Glad to see you.
No, you're not. This is a pre-recording. You can't even see me.
There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you.
It's an interesting design on your jacket there.
However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind.
And it is interesting that he's wearing a bracelet because he's Sigma. Of course he is.
I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility.
But then he went ahead and switched his costume.
I hope you can forgive me.
I wonder if he kept those blue overalls that he was wearing this entire time and just kept it in his wardrobe.
Everything I know, Fi should also know.
Really?
I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
Wait, what? Why have you singled me out? So I can't ask questions? Fi?
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So that glad to see you part was just for any generic person who was going to turn up.
Is there anything you want to ask?
Am I allowed? Apparently I'm not.
Oh, right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Fi?
Yes.
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or
not the
Spider-Man or
spiel again.
Aquaman or a Merman or a Wolfman.
I know, you are no man.
I'm not a Brahmin or Kamen or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
I know I asked, but who you are, not who you aren't.
Please don't dodge the question.
Thank you, Kyle. That blush.
About 5 hours ago,
Sorry.
Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct?
Right, so Fi also went to the past. See, the butt of the knife, my ass.
Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029.
So she went to April 13th.
On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody.
Right, in the sleeping pod. So her consciousness went into a sleeping body and stayed there for 45 years?
Although by then you were in cold sleep. You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body.
Jeez. What does that all
That
mean?
pod was your home for 45 years.
But you wouldn't have known, and time would have passed.
You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AV room.
Where you met Sigma.
That was when your consciousness changed bodies again.
Oh, right, of course.
A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out
What? Oh, wow, okay.
and sending you back to December 25th, 2028.
So, hang on, let's get this straight. So she was... Hang on. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. It's not very easy when you have a cold. So she... Where are we? Here, I guess? She got kicked out of here to go here, but she was asleep for all that time. When she finally, woke up, she basically got kicked out again, back here, to December 25th.
This is when you finally woke up.
Right.
In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body.
Ah, we worked together.
Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility.
And failed catastrophically.
Unfortunately, your plan failed.
And released the Radical Six, and I'm starting to think that this is kind of like the cycle.
The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve.
Probably because of our involvement. And I also lost 2 arms and an eye, so that's nice.
That failure determined the path you followed.
Right, the path we followed being this main branch. What we're trying to do is create a new branch, this way.
Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from point E, you headed straight to point D.
Trying to open my mind a little, you know, like with the Schrodinger's cat thing with being K's armor. Like, I wasn't fully comprehending that, so you are quite right. Thinking quite linearly, I need to branch my mind out and just open it. Which is helping because my mind's continuously getting blown by all the twists that the game throws at me.
Point D being April 13th of the following year.
Where the reactors exploded.
That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future.
Right.
It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden.
And then you came back here.
This caused the 2 versions of you to swap places.
So while Sigma was slaving away for 45 years, your consciousness basically lay dormant and didn't have much to do for quite some time.
And you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor.
It kind of reminds me of the
That
Butterfly
put you
Effect.
on the line that comes here.
The movie, The Butterfly Effect, where Ashton Kutcher's character, he has these blackouts when he's a kid, and he doesn't know what happens during these blackouts, but then when he's an adult, he realizes he can go back in time, transport his consciousness back in time, and they always appear where those blackouts are, because that's where he would have made changes in his life. I think?
So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened.
Right.
That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden.
3.5 months. Everyone else, 45 years.
Have I missed anything?
Or anyone else being just Sigma.
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well done, Kyle.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor.
Unknown variable. Okay. I suppose that's better than, say, Alice's position in this game. She's literally only here to solve one flow where we find the bomb password. That's... yeah, we'll dive into that later on.
It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
And I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds.
We've been talking longer than that, Kyle. You should have said 3.5 minutes if you wanted to sound cool and use that line.
Could you please explain?
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics.
Okay.
Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation.
I'm sure it is. Honestly, there's just a lot of science stuff in the game where I just have to nod my head. Like, I wish I was clever enough to be like, oh, yeah, of course. But, like, I'm just always just nodding my head going, yeah, that I'm gonna take it that as right because you said it.
Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared.
Right. E equals mc squared?
That means that 1 plus
Something like
v1
that.
times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1. Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
No.
In most situations it works, even if it isn't technically correct.
Okay.
So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about, right? As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I'm glad.
I don't quite understand.
Yeah.
In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So is that what you wanted to ask about?
No.
I just wanted to know who you were.
What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028.
Yeah. What did you guys end up doing in that facility? And what's your
You and Sigma
significance find?
infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
How did Sigma find you? How did he know who you were?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms?
Yeah.
And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place?
Well, they were doing some sort of space thing, right? With Mars, the Mars test facility. They were experimenting with that. I'd suspect that they were trying to, like, lower their processing speed, I suppose.
What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why? Oh, if we hit that part where I can't ask questions.
Why?
Because it would change history.
What? What do you mean?
There is a history where the virus didn't escape.
Right, like the many worlds interpretation that you mentioned.
That's the line that goes to the right of point E.
Mm-hmm.
In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red.
Life is all nice and kosher, huh?
The future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear.
Seriously?
You understand?
I don't.
No, yeah.
Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
Sounds like you could just keep any sort of secret by saying that. I could tell you, but another universe is gonna get destroyed, so I'm gonna have to keep it secret.
You're about to go back to the past, right?
Wait, what? I am?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff?
Because my dad is Sigma, and he told me all that stuff?
I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up.
Yeah, but wouldn't I have been briefed on this stuff before the game started?
So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
Is it because we're controlling Kyle and... What's up? What's going on? What does that mean?
I shall give you your answer.
Oh, thank you.
You are not Kyle Climb.
What? What is that supposed to mean? Do I need to look in the fountain again?
Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not.
Really?
Think about it.
Who am I then?
Do you really believe you are Kyle? Or could you be someone else entirely?
Nah, you just could be tricking me. You could be trying to, like, fake me into thinking I'm not Kyle. It's some sort of strange hypnotism.
Then, where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
Yeah.
He was thrown out when you entered.
But who am I and where was he thrown out to?
Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028.
Kyle, right? How is that possible?
His consciousness has gone into a body from that time.
But whose body? I always thought that when you're jumping consciousness, it was only towards your same physical person, right? Like Sigma jumped from Sigma to Sigma, Phi to Phi. And Kyle was born in this facility, grew up in this facility, and that was after December 25th, 2028, right?
I doubt you know how much the Doctor loves Kyle.
What's going on? Maybe I'm just missing something?
He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable.
Right, even though he's a clone.
Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here?
I don't know.
I know what I told the others. That Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare. But that was not his only purpose.
I can imagine it wasn't his only purpose, because we always knew that Sigma was going to end up back in December 25th, 2028. His older version, that is, going backwards. So he wouldn't have needed a spare because he knew that he was going to be successful, right?
Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028.
But if all this is true, then who am I?
Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
Why?
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Uh-huh.
Correct.
And whose consciousness am I? Where did I come from?
There's one thing that troubles me. Kyle
One
was
thing?
created before reaching point B from point D.
Right, are you going to talk about what I just asked?
That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028.
So where did he go?
Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
But how did I know all that stuff about Phi and Sigma, right? So I had to be someone related. I couldn't be just some random civilian.
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
In the sleeve.
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space.
I can.
You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system.
Are you saying I'm Phi? Or something?
As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb.
I'm not playing dumb, old woman. I'm trying to figure things out. But I'm terrible at this sort of stuff.
I know what you are.
Okay.
Surely you must know by now, too.
Nope. I'm just guessing Phi for some strange reason.
You are about to go into the past and save the world.
Really?
Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help.
I guess I'm not Phi then?
Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past.
Tu fui ego eris.
Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth?
I do, but Phi wouldn't tell me.
Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
I absolutely do.
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be.
I see.
If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality?
Okay.
Your will can change history.
I wish it was that easy, lady.
The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine.
Okay. Right. So I'm about to determine the course of history.
Remember what I've told you.
How could I forget? It was so vague.
Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
Okay. If you say so. Alternative end. A certain point of view, you found it. Did I find it, though? So, after 45 hours and 10 minutes, this is where we end up, with all the flows completed, not a single question mark left, except for the fact that we don't know what happened in December 31st, 2028, which is kind of a bummer. I thought we were going to resolve that plotline, and everything was going to come full circle, but I guess not. We're going to end on a cliffhanger. Getting some Halo 2 vibes from this. I remember playing Halo 2 way back in the day and being quite disappointed that that was how that ended, and I'm kind of a little bit disappointed in not being able to resolve that situation. I'm guessing it ties into Zero Time Dilemma if this is part of a trilogy, so maybe that's where that gets resolved, but yeah, kind of wish that it got resolved, especially after playing for so long. My goodness me, 45 hours. And speaking of 45 hours, I feel like I should give my thoughts on the game now. Sorry if I sound a bit robotic. It's just me going into my next phase of the illness. I feel like the pacing could have been a lot tighter. Like, this game could have been a lot shorter. 45 hours. A lot of it was just spent resolving repetitive storylines, you know, with Alice being found dead in crew quarters 2, Luna being dead, Quark getting sick and going missing, Dio betraying us, so on and so forth. I feel like that kind of... And we couldn't really skip past all of this stuff because there was always going to be like different lines of dialogue that we would be forced to listen to. We couldn't skip past it. So yeah, I feel like it could have been a whole lot tighter. I think maybe instead of having these character endings, perhaps have the same sort of flow as 999 with the different endings relating to the items like the Yellow Submarine, the axe ending, so on and so forth. Probably could have been achieved by depending on how much BP you had at the end of the game. Whereas, like, say if you had 5 or 6 BP, you get this ending, 7 or 8, you get this ending, or so on or so forth, or something like that, or depending on which characters you betrayed or trusted, there'll be like a relationship meter or something, and that would like compute to some sort of ending you get, I think. Sure, it might have been harder to figure out what kind of ending you would get, especially for those like people trying to be completionists, trying to get all the endings, but I think that probably would have served the better purpose. And I do agree with the characters just being there. Like, I think it was summed up really nicely by Akane. Alice, you're only here to solve one flow, where you are able to use your mathematical skills to compute the password for one bomb. That's literally all you're here for. What about Clover then? You know? I feel like that's such a cop-out, really, to have Alice involved. And it turns out she's not even the All Ice character from 999 that everyone was referring to. So, I mean, just have her here just to keep a tie into 999. I don't know. I enjoyed Dio's character. I like how he was a bit of a scumbag. Kay's character was alright. Especially I like the Schrodinger's cat twist with that. Luna, of course, was precious. Temuji, I mean, I can see why Temuji was Junpei, and I like that. I kind of like that twist, just to have some semblance of connection between the other game, if they were going for a trilogy. It's kind of weird that Akane is an old woman and stuff like that, but I can wrap my head around it. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about poor Alice and Clover being shafted there, just to be here, just so they could perform a function, so to speak. So yeah, I think they could have fleshed out those characters a lot more. I think instead of having repetitive flows and whatnot, where Alice always commits suicide, Luna's always found dead, if those were different and we could find out more about the characters rather than encountering the same thing again and again and again, then I would be more happy with the runtime of 45 hours. But my gosh, like, it was quite repetitive at times, which kind of sucks. It kind of ruins the flow and the immersion of it all. But I enjoyed the puzzles. I enjoyed the overall story of it all. I'm a sucker for those kind of storylines where, you know, we're stuck in something, like we have our own little mini story, but there's a huge big picture thing going on in the background. Like in this case it was Radical 6 devastating Earth, and we're just here to train our memories to retain themselves when we jump between flows. I like that concept of jumping between flows. That's a pretty neat idea, and I like how I think that concept can only really be explored in a video game like this, right? Because you have your different flows, your different choose your own adventure. Like, you could make a movie out of this, or an anime series, or a TV show. So I appreciate what they did. They used the art form of a game to tell that story. But yeah, mixed feelings. I did enjoy it, but it could have been so much better. But that's me, you know. I liked, when I'm playing my games, I always turn my brain off. I have very low standards. It's funny, like, when I'm watching something or playing something, I have very low standards, and I'll just enjoy it. I'll eat it all up, and then only when I stop and really, really think about it, then it sort of takes my enjoyment away from things, which is kind of why I don't do it. But in this case, like, I'm always up for stuff that's good but could be better, and I know Virtue's Last Reward could have been better, but I enjoyed it for what it is. I don't know if I prefer 999 over this, though, because this had a lot of cool gameplay elements. 999 was cool. I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the gameplay of Virtue's Last Reward, so I guess they both have their merits. So yeah, I guess that sums up all my thoughts on Virtue's Last Reward. I can't believe we're finished after so long. My goodness me, all those faces. I've actually gotten the Platinum Trophy for this game. I've solved all the rooms, got all the endings, and so, I don't know. I guess we take a little bit of a break before we jump into Zero Time Dilemma. I'll sort of consider what I want to do with the channel going forward, because I need to get a schedule in order. It's been so erratic lately, and getting sick and my workflow at work has actually kind of exasperated that. I want to incorporate streaming, so yeah, we'll see. But thank you so much for joining me, guys, on this wonderful adventure that was Virtue's Last Reward. I will never forget how you guys lectured me about my first betrayal. Some good memories came out of this game. So I'm hoping to see you guys in other games as well on my channel. And I hope to see you guys in Zero Time Dilemma when I eventually do cover it, because I will cover it. I have got it in my Steam library. I just need to find some time to play it. Anyway, take care, guys. Thank you. See you later. Let me recover from my sickness. Okay, bye.